sector. Well, let's unwrap this with Dr. Olubenga Olaoye. He's a petroleum economist and joins us virtually from Texas, U.S. Dr. Olaoye, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning, Ini. Good morning, Nigerians. Glad to be here this morning.
Good to have you. So please do share with us your thoughts on that question that is being posed. Are we okay? Do we need a change?
All right, thank you very much. Once again, good morning, Nigerians. I'm glad to be here this morning. I've been following the news about the big bat between Alhaji Aliko Dangote and DAPPMAN and other, stakeholders in the sector. Basically, if you look at where we are coming from, the regime of subsidy and regulation, it's very difficult for us to, beat our chest and say that we are optimizing fully, the value chain in the petroleum sector. And I say this because if you look at the crude oil production, a lot of theft is going on. Come to exporting our crude and also importing refined products. And I mean, that also destabilizes the supply chain in a way. And then come to the transportation and logistics, you also have situations where the unions will hold the government to ransom, and then the subsidies that government has paid on the refined products that were imported, they end up not being supplied to the public, and then you see the public coming to the gas stations, queuing endlessly for fuel, and having to pay enormous, price for the same products that have been subsidized. So, but what has happened now with the coming on stream of the Dangote refinery, I believe this is the time that Nigeria can say that we are optimizing and maximizing the supply value chain in the petroleum sector. And I want to thank the President of Nigeria for giving this platform, for this behemoth of a refinery to thrive in Nigeria, and also to Alhaji Aliko Dangote for taking the bull by the horn to rescue Nigeria from years of hardship in terms of availability of the products to the masses.
Yeah, but there are costs.
Now, yeah.
There are costs to this. There are some people who will lose their source of livelihood, which is one of the things that the unions are asking for.
Yeah, so I don't think people are going to lose their livelihoods. This is just a challenge, The refinery is a solution to an age-long problem, an age-long epidemic that has bedeviled this country. So this is a time for people to upskill, and to embrace global best practices so that the dividends can, get to the Nigerian public. I've written a couple of articles, published a series of articles. One of it is Beyond the Pump, How Nigeria's Fuel Marketers Must Respond to Dangote's Disruption. What has happened in the industry now is a great disruption. And like my big uncle, Femi Otedola, said, the existing players, they have to innovate, they have to upskill, and they have to embrace global best practices. We cannot begin to run the old templates in this new regime. So I don't think it's about people losing their jobs or livelihoods. It's a challenge to them to bring their best foot forward, to step back and see how can we partake and participate in this new agenda, that has been put forward by Alhaji Aliko Dangote.
So could you help us maybe paint a picture of how to make this new agenda inclusive? Because I believe some of these unions and arms feel that they are not included or captured, and that's why we see this kickback.
Okay, so there have to be strong institutions and, of course, transparent regulation, right? Because at the end of the day, we have to put the people before profit. And when we put people before profits, everything will fall in place. On the issue of, I want to address the issue of DAPPMAN and Alhaji Aliko Dangote. In the U.S., for example, there are over 130 refineries. And, I mean, there is still a lot of importation into the United States. So we also have to think about energy security. We don't want any disruption in supply. Yes, the refinery is capable to, deliver every volume that is needed in Nigeria and even also export. So we cannot say we want to completely shut down importation, right? Because it will come in handy. But ultimately, there has to be collaboration. There has to be a coming to the table. Because at the end of the day, everything is in the interest of the Nigerians. And then for the supply chain, the logistics, I think Alhaji Dangote means well, because I could recall, because I also follow this conversation a lot. There was a time he was saying that he has about certain millions of liters in the refinery, and the transporters were not coming. The marketers were not coming. So the only other alternative was for him to export. And, because this product needs to get to Nigerians, right, he decided to bring his own trucks. So nobody's going to lose their job. Alhaji Dangote is showing capacity. And every other person must also step up their game and come to the table and let's have a conversation how the business is going to be run, and then everybody will be happy.
So I guess your suggestion that importation of refined petroleum products is sustained could deal with the fears and concerns of monopoly, because some people think that Dangote might eventually edge out other players.
I don't think the intention of Alhaji Dangote is to edge out other players. Alhaji Dangote has solved a major problem for Nigeria, and Nigerians should be grateful for that. However, government has to come in and be a transparent regulator in the business and ensure that there is no crowding out of the existing players, right? And I also believe that when this happens, it's going to bring in more investment into the country. Now, I give you an example. A lot of companies exited Nigeria during the regulated and subsidy regime because they couldn't plan, they couldn't forecast. And then you see a situation whereby government regulates price and then they are not able to, recoup their costs and all that. But right now, with a functional refinery, you realize that if the existing players don't upscale, and I mean upscale by digitizing their processes, ensuring that their stations are not just fuel dumps, but destinations, places where the customers can experience more than the pump, just like what is obtainable in advanced countries. When you get to a petrol filling station, you have so many other things. Fine, you want to fill your tank, but there are so many other things that attract you. And they need to start owning the process, not feeding it out to a third party. You need to own your brand. You need to own your space. And then they can also do what they do here, which is co-branding, right? You can see one brand on the pumps, and by the time you get to the sales room, you see another brand entirely, and they are competing. So collaboration is the new competition. The players need to collaborate to bring the best of the dividends to the Nigerian people.
At the end of the day, in all of this, do you see the consumers winning?
Yeah, so in my latest article that I talked about when the cheese moves, Dangote versus DAPPMAN and the future of Nigeria's fuel economics, right? I think at the end of the day, it is usually said that when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. But in this scenario, I think the consumers are winning because it is, at the end of the day, it's the pricing that dictates where the customers will go. So right now, I think it's a good time for Nigerians. There will be there will be fuel everywhere during the festive season. Nobody will sleep in gas filling stations wanting to buy fuel and stuff like that. So I think this is the best of times for the Nigerian people.
Yeah, for once, let the consumers win while the two elephants are fighting. Thank you so much, Dr. Olubenga Olaoye, petroleum economist, joining us from Texas, US. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.